Yeah, in this lecture, I'm going to show you an example of using the toolkit, Redux toolkit. So in the morning, Alim presented an example, and in the afternoon example, it's going to be a bit complex, but or let's say we're gonna look at Redux while using the API, while sending requests to mock API. So I made this simple app here. It's similar to, if you remember, the books app, the app that displays that we can add books through. So this is something similar. I just had the Create React app. Excuse me. So I made the Create React app and then cleaned the files, and then I added the services. They're identical, two services, where I used Axios, as you know, and this is the mock API URL provided. And I have a books resource and authors resource. So yeah, here it is, similar to what we have done previously. And I created three functions, one for fetching, one for sending, and one for deleting. So what I want to do is I want to list all my books, and I want to, before that, add a new book. And also I want to delete a book, as simple as that for now. And yeah, I used Axios, and as you know, we use Git to fetch data. And after that, I return the data. If there's an error, I'll print that. For the post, I post the object, the new data that I want to send, which has an ID and title. The ID is date.now, which is it returns a timestamp for the current time, which is now at the time of submitting. And yeah, I return the response. The response is going to be the same. And finally, delete, where we pass the URL and the ID. Then we also receive the response if we want, and yeah, we can ignore that, or we can make a confirmation that this record has been deleted. I made the same for authors, so we can fetch all authors, send authors, and delete all authors, and they are of the shape ID name for the book's ID and title for now. And I created components for authors and books to list all the books, and also to list all the authors. And on app.js, I'm going actually now to import book. Okay, it should be books. And authors. Didn't I export it? Yeah, I exported that. And yeah. In the app, simply, I just want to display my books. Or maybe we can add a line, and we add the authors. Now, this is all familiar to you. Now the difference, we want Redux to handle the state. As you know, if you remember, when we use APIs, we usually used to have a state inside the components. here. Then we use to call API. Then after that, we update the state based on the response. So why we do that? We store the data somewhere on the cloud. We store it permanently, so all clients can access these data. But once we receive these data, we want this data to be interactive. We want the interactivity, so we assign it to the state. Now we are not using React state, we are using Redux. Let's see the difference. And also I'm going to apply the toolkit one more time and see how can we do that and what options also we have. So there's no one like strict way of writing the code of Redux through the toolkit. So Alim introduced an approach, and I'm going also to introduce an approach. Actually, I'm not sure if he introduced the same one that I'm going to introduce now. You can tell me if that's the case. But there's something that we cannot change, or we cannot like we have to use. There's stuff that we have to use, but you have the option on certain in certain areas, for instance, the structure of the files, using reducers, create reducer instead of create slice, and so on, where to put your logic, stuff like that. You have the freedom to choose what's best for you. So we start from the store, or at least I found that if we start from the store, it's we stick to the logic. We keep in mind our logic, so we not forget how Redux works. The thing is with the toolkit is that it makes writing the code much easier, but at the same time, you will feel that the Redux logic or cycle is not obvious as it was with the Redux, with the pure Redux that we've done yesterday, or the day before. It's a bit, especially with the reducer, you will see that it's not that obvious. But writing the code is we do not need to write or repeat ourselves by writing actions and writing reducers, as you will see. We need just to write to define the reducers, and we can generate actions automatically with the slice. So I'm going to use the recommended way from the documentation, except for small differences. For instance, they have the store on a separate file, but I'm gonna have the store on the index.js. Other than that, mostly I'm going to follow the recommended way of applying Redux with the toolkit according to the documentation. So I first install the toolkit, which is, I think, Redux.js toolkit, and I need also React Redux. So from the toolkit, I use the configure store and the slice. Okay. And from React Redux, we use hooks that help us connect React with Redux. So first I import configure store, which is the way to define the store using the toolkit. And after that, I type constant store equal configure store, and configure store takes reduces. Yeah, it takes the store configuration as an object, but we usually add the reducer. Is it reducer or reduces? Yes, it is reducer. So we define the store, then we use configure store, then we pass this object. We pass the configuration, and inside the configuration we pass the reducer, and we just give name for our reducers. I think it's reducer here. Even if you want like multiple reducers, yeah, you can have them here. So you can give name. For instance, I have books and I have authors as well. And here we define the names of reducers, and we need to pass either reducers or slices. So the recommended way, again, with the toolkit is to use slices. And slices is a concept in Redux, in the store, that you can imagine it this way, that you can slice your state like this to different slices. This is, of course, this is not, I mean, actually doing so, but you can say virtually doing so. We divide the state into slices, and each slice has all the operations and all the configuration that is related to a full state cycle in Redux. Yeah, this is slice. The slice give you full access to a cycle, but it gives you like a focused way to access that state. So the idea of slice is to structure your code based on features. So those are related. So for instance, in source here, we say features, and inside features, we define slices. So the concept came from a structure. I think it's called something duck or duck something. I forgot the name, but yeah, the idea is that you have a slice of state, and the slice of state has full access to the cycle, like full Redux state, but you can have multiple slices where you can have your own like your own names, reducers, actions that are organized or that are written on a certain slice folder. So again, we can pass reducers or we can pass slices here. And recommended way from the tool is to pass slices. And also in this example, I want to use the slices. I think Alim uses slices as well, or reducers. Did Alim use slices, like create slice? If anyone knows. Oh, okay. Yeah, so you can have multiple reducers, or you can have multiple slices, and in each slice, you can have multiple reducers as well. Okay. Yeah, you can use reducers with the toolkit, or you can use a slice. So for the slice, I want a book slice or books slice. And in the slice, we define five things that are related to our Redux state. So the slice takes five. The first one is the name. What's the name of this slice? Okay, I want to see how it's written. Yeah, should be create slice. We should use create slice from the toolkit, and then we should say constant of book slice equal create slice, and yeah, as you can see, any here is the name, then we take the reducers, then we take selectors,
I think if you look at it, it's a function that accepts an initial state, an object full of reducer functions. So I think there will be multiple reducer functions and a slice name.
yeah.
So there'll be multiple reduce, but they should be, shouldn't there be one reducer function in a slice?
Um, no, you can have as much as you want. You can have multiple users, but I'm looking about the syntax. So in create slice, we have we can add five things, and we can have we can add the name, the initial state value, the reducers, selectors, and selectors, reducers, the name, the initial state, and the actions. Yeah, those five. So that's why slices are the recommended way, because we have all anything related to the Redux state in one slice, in one file, and in one function that is called create slice. Okay, so we import here create slice, and then as you can see, create slice, yeah, the syntax is we open an object, and inside that object, we put name, reduces, and initial state. So inside the object, we put these three. And after that, we export the actions like this, and we export the reducers. We export the reducer. So we have name, we can add, yeah, and also we can add selectors here. Um, yeah, so as you can see, you can have multiple reducers. And to define actions, you can just say counter slice, the name of the slice, dot actions, and pass the name of the reducers. And the action is going to be generated automatically based on your reducers, and would be exported, and you can import it anywhere and use the actions. So there's no more writing reducers as we have done yesterday or the day before, writing reducers and then writing the actions that are that could be accepted by the reducer. Now actions are generated automatically. Okay, so I think I need this inside, and then I can have the name here. And I call this slice books, and the initial state is an object of books that is empty. And after that, I define the reducers. Okay, here we use reducers, but in the configure store, we say reducer. And also this takes an object where we can define our reducers. So I need to, if I look at my example, I need to add a new book. So I need to add a new book to mock API. And then once I receive that, I want to update the state. So I need add book. And if you remember, they take state and action. Reducers all the time. And they are functions, pure functions. And I also need to set the books. Yes, it is recommended. Out of anything else, this is extremely recommended, right? Like having book slice inside features. Yeah. But you can have, for instance, like the logic. Okay, this should be pure functions. So actually, when we use the toolkit, we can say state equal 9, for instance, or something, state equal 8. So we can say that, even though, if you remember, in Redux, we cannot mutate the state directly, but when we use the toolkit in the backend, they use immer that I think we passed on immer slightly. So we use immer, and this operation is done in an immutable manner. So when we say state equal 8, what's actually happened is state 1 or something equals state, then state 1 equal 8. So it's immutable, but we can write a mutable code like this. So it's here when using the toolkit, it's safer to write to not write pure code. It's safer. But anyway, it's always best to write code that is immutable and that we consider reducers as a pure functions, and we make sure that we do not call any other functions or any other APIs. This is also a good practice. Yes, for create slice, this is for all the slices that you want to make. Yeah, you should have a name, initial state, and at least one reducer, because without reducer we cannot modify anything. And then we export the actions, and selectors is optional here. Only selectors, as we will see. So I want to add a book. I want also to set books, because I'm receiving the books from the API, and after I receive that, I want to save the books inside the state. So I want a way to take the books from the API and assign it to the Redux state. And I want also to delete a book. Okay, and then after that, I export these 3, even though they're empty for now. I think also it's a good way to code with Redux while you, to write the reducers while you are writing the components. So this is a preference of mine, so you don't need to follow that strictly, but I feel like if you write a structure here, then you go back and write a structure in the components, then you come back to slice and so on. So you can see what is happening. You need to call the APIs here. then dispatch the state to slice and so on. So yeah, writing the code like this is, for me, is easier. But again, it's up to you. It's what you find suitable to you. So we export the add book, the set books, and the delete books, and we say the name of the book slice, not create actions, actions. Yeah, export constant, the name of your reduces, then dot actions. So this command would generate actions automatically, and we can use these to dispatch. You can imagine actually those as a functions. So we are dispatching when we dispatch those, we dispatch them as actions. So we say dispatch add book, and they are sent to the slice, and the reducer name has the same name as the action, as you can see. But again, we are not creating actions by ourselves. They are just created automatically. And then also we export the slice itself, because we want that in I think this should be default. Oh yeah, without constant. We need that for the index. And we can also define selectors here. So this is the 5 things. And why I define selectors here? In order to make all the Redux logic in one place. If you remember, selectors are used in components. We used to say import use selector, if you remember. Actually, we want that anyway. But yeah, let's work on the box for now. Import use selector. Do you remember when we did the nodes? We did nodes equal use selector, and we did something like state equal state the select. So it's recommended also to write this code of selection inside the slice, which is here. So we define a constant and export it. We call it select books, and we just give it's basically a function, an arrow function that select the state and then select the slice and then select the state name. So the slice name is books, and my state inside that slice is books. And this is the whole state of Redux. So this select books, we pass the whole state and we return the books slice state, you can say. So now we export that and we go to books and import that. Import select books, and we can just say select books here. And of course, we can get the books now. I'm not sure if this should be constant. Constant means it doesn't change. Okay, we can come back to this later. But what we have done is we created a folder called features. This is the recommended way of writing Redux with the toolkit. And inside features, we define slices of the state. And we use create slice to do so. And we define 5 things: the name of the slice, the initial state of the state that we want this slice to control, and reducers, which is the way to modify our state, which is this one. Then we just export those as actions using the slice name dot actions, and after that we define a selector, which is basically selecting this state, the controlled state. Yes. So state books means that if you remember, this is the Redux state. So this is the whole state. Then we have here the book slice. And inside the book slice, we defined as a controlled state, which is this. So when I select books, I'm selecting the state that is inside this part. So this diagram is like this visuals, they're not, you can say they are representation of what is happening. They're not actually happening, but you can imagine with slices, you can imagine the state is sliced into different states where we control where each state can have the full privilege of the Redux cycle, but can be accessed separately, and its reducers are separate than other slices. So when we say this is the full state of Redux. This is the state, this is the slice name, which is books. And this is the defined or the controlled state inside the slice, which is also books. So it's a good practice. So let's say if this was book, I think this should be book. It's a good practice to have the same name, even for the reducer here. Here you can name it whatever you want as well, and you can pass. This is what we are going to do actually, to import books slice and then assign it here. But it's a good practice all the time to have the same name. Yeah, book slice and pass book slice. So I'm passing the books slice. Okay, I still have an error somewhere. Okay, here for the authors. I'll get back to the authors. Let us finish the books first, then we can come to the authors. So now I'm receiving the books using use selector, where I select all the books from the state and display that. So let's display the books that we have. As you know, we do so using books.map. And for each book, we need to do something. We need to, it should be inside the order list. We need to define a list item. And we need to get the book dot, okay, as a key. We need the book dot ID. And we also need the book dot inside a text. We need the book dot title. Okay, I didn't define a new book here yet, but we can follow the one with the service, yeah, title. So for each book, there's an ID and a title. And now books are empty because use selector is gonna select select books. Select books is from features. If we go to the book slice, you're gonna see that the books are empty for now, and there's no way to update the state. But let's check if we have any errors. Okay. Oh yeah, we forgot the provider. So we have the configure store, but we didn't pass it to our app. So we import provider and we pass that, or we define that as it's an HTML tag, and then it takes a store properties, then we pass our store here. Okay. Okay, there's an error with the map. So books.map takes for each book for each book define a list item, give it ID and title. Right? Okay, array prototype map expects a return value from a function. That's okay. Yeah, this should be yeah. So now I have undefined because I shouldn't have undefined actually because it's empty now, and I should just um I should just receive the books. So I'm using use selector and passing the books. So as you can see, we need at least one reducer, but this is because I'm reading undefined. So books is undefined. For book slice, I'm using, okay, this should be books. Okay, then select books. Okay, the slice, we are taking the state and returning state of books. So at least I shouldn't have an error. Um, I should just have an empty screen. But this error um, is popular, I would say. Okay, what can we do? State. Okay, let me check. Oh, okay, this should be dot reducer, but I'm not sure if this is related. Oh, okay, here we go. I should export book slice dot reducer. Yeah, this is the way to do it. So we are exporting this and then importing that in index by saying book slice, which is book slice reducer, you can say, and passing the reducer into the store. So this takes reducers, and that's why I should export reducers. Okay, so we have the books list, we have the authors list, and yeah, it's empty because everything is empty for now. Now I want to also make the user add a new a new new book. So we give it type name, and then we give it a placeholder to add book, and then we can also. But why I'm having this now? Oh, okay. I'm in the unordered list, and it only takes list. So it should be outside. And I can use an event that's called on key down. which is it's an event handler. And this means once I check the key that is pressed. So if the key equal to enter, then I'll take the input. So this is instead of a button. So the user can type the name and then press enter. Once the key down means once the enter is pressed, you can use one key up as well. So once the enter is released after pressing. And then here I want to pass a function that define the process, which is handle add book. And it takes the title. And then, yeah, I can pass that here. Is if the enter is pressed, then take the value as a title of the book, and then we need to empty that. And yeah, we can, you can see, I can press enter and it disappears, but for now, I'm not saving anything. So after that, I want to, here comes the APIs, the services. What I want to do is, and this is the convention, we have the API or the database somewhere in the cloud. So when the user clicks on something or add a new data, then I need to first set the data on the cloud, on the mock API in our case. And then after that, I want to update the state with that data. And it's going to be through dispatch. So we dispatch from here. Here's mock API. So I send to mock API, then I take the data from mock API, and with the old state that that was here, or in our case, since this is the source of all our data, we can just replace the state. So assign a new value to the state and add it here, and display it on the screen. So this can be done using let's look at the book service we have. We can use fetch data, and it's exported. So I can import that, sorry, fetch data. And I can say constant, or maybe without that, we can just say fetch data. Okay, it's here. Fetch data, it takes nothing, and it's an async function. Okay, this is fetch. I'm handling add. Sorry, my mistake. We should use send data. It takes title, and it's an async await. So we use send data. And we can also do a try catch here. And we pass the title. And then after that, we need to update the state. So what I've done here is doing this. I've sent data to the API. Then after that, I need to receive, I'm gonna receive actually. So I'm gonna receive a response, as you know. Send is going to set the new data, which is this one, the ID of date now, and the title that is passed, and then it's gonna return the same object. So I'm going to take the response. And for that, I need use dispatch, if you remember. if I want to dispatch an action to the store, I want use dispatch. And once I receive the response again from the API, I dispatch the response. Or I dispatch, sorry, we cannot dispatch without an action. So we go to, okay, we have features and we have services. We go to the features and we need the ad book. So we use the ad book to dispatch that. And the ad book takes, we can pass the response as it is, or we can, and dispatch that into the reducer. So here, the ad book, what I'm going to do is just state dot push action dot payload. I think that would work. It depends on the structure of the response. So what we can do for now, let's put this here. And for then we can check console log and see what the response looks like. Okay, here's my app, a new book. So I'm having author ID of one. Okay, I've defined author ID here. Yeah, let's delete that for now. If I send a new book, the book is saved. Okay, it's still with an author ID for some reason. I should click update. Okay. So we have an ID, and as you know, mock API force the ID to have a sequential numbers from one until from one and onwards. And the title is what I've typed in the input field. And what is returning? It's returning an object that contains title and an ID. So if we do new book, as you can see, title and ID. So we can pass that as the payload. Right? And we can push that to the state, which is an array. To add to an array, we just need to push. So we push the payload. And the payload is taken from the components, which is the result or the response from the send. And the response from the send is what we have seen in the console. So we can just dispatch add book, and we pass the response. Okay. Let's take a break for 5 minutes, and then let's continue after that. All right. So we were here. We are pushing the payload, the action payload, which is coming from the books. And in the books, we are passing the response that is coming from the API. So in our diagram, we send the data, and then the mock API is going to send the response, which is confirming that, okay, this has been sent and has been saved. So take it back. The store, we use the action. And with that, we say, okay, take this and send it to the reducer as a payload. So the action is send data here as well, like add a new data to the state with the payload, which is the one coming from the API. So you can imagine you have two places to store your data. One is the mock API. Again, it's for persistency and for central access or centralization of data, and also a global access to data from different clients. But you have the local storage, which is the state, and it is for interactivity. Yeah, we bring the data from the database and then we add it to our state in order to handle interactivity. So after we received this data, we dispatch, we update the state. Now I can visualize this after it is in the state. I can visualize that. Using the second reducer, which is set books. So for now, I don't have a way to display the state that is in the store. So I only have books, so I'm selecting all the books. Actually, yes, I can. Yeah, I've done that. Okay. So new book. Okay, which one? 14. Oh, okay. This should be books. So the state, and I should push this into books. Okay, which one is that? Okay. Yeah, here we need to be careful. And the reason is we have an async function. Yeah, so send data is an async function. So we should say payload, and then we should send the title. And yeah, we have that inside try catch, and we need an await. And this should be an async. Actually, we need to write it differently. Okay, try catch, error, console. Okay, so it's an async function, so I need to wait for the payload in order to dispatch after that. And now, after I wait, I'll receive the response here because send data returns the response. I define a variable called payload, and I'm passing that to the admin. Okay. Okay, still the same. Yeah, I have sent, which is on book service. It's this one. I'm returning the data here. But where is the issue? Invalid call hook, hooks, so JS 14. Dispatch. Oh, this is a function. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, so I have two tests on my mock API. Okay, more even. So I was sending more and more, but as you can see, when I refresh, everything is gone. So I'm adding this to the state, and I'm also, first I'm sending this here, and then I'm adding it to the state. But I am not, for the books, as you can see, I'm always selecting books from the store, from the selector of the Redux. But I should check before I do that, I should fetch the data. So now what I want to handle now is this is something, this is what is missing, and that's why I don't, when I refresh, everything is gone. Because I'm relying on books, which is selecting the state from the store, and the store is empty. The store is empty. And the data, as you know, isn't persistent here. I'm pushing this to the state, right? But when I refresh the page, it's empty all the time, the state. So when I refresh the page, the first thing to do is to get the data from mock API and store it in the state in order to work with this data. So if you remember, we used to, if you remember, use effect. We used to use effect for that. And use effect is a hook from React that we use to call, to make side effects. And one of these, or one of the most, of the great uses of use effect is when we have to call an API, because we can define how many times we call this, or we can add dependency to call this. So the dependency, let's start with the dependency. If you remember, if it's empty, then it's gonna be called, okay, if we have an empty array, it's gonna be called one. If it's empty, then it's gonna be called on every render. Yeah, on every render. If it's an empty dependency, then it's gonna be called once. But if you had dependency, it's gonna be called based on that dependency. And we want the dispatch dependency here. So whenever a dispatch happened, I want to call the user effect. And the user effect is gonna get the new data. So I want to update the data from my API all the time, every time I do a dispatch. So what I need to do now, okay, I need to fetch data. So yeah, constant and then payload. We should have use effect async. And then after that, we dispatch, right? So we receive the data from the API, we dispatch that using set books. So for set books, it's easy, straightforward reducer, which is basically make the state equal to the action of payload. So here we dispatch fetch data. Okay, sorry. We have done fetch data. We dispatch send books, set books, and we pass the payload that is coming from Mock API. Okay, and yeah, we can have an error message, and then now the books is going to be updated whenever I refresh the page. I'm going to call the API, get my data from there, and then I'm gonna update the state. After I update the state, books is gonna be updated with the new state. And also when I add new books is gonna be updated with the new state. And dispatch is gonna be triggered as well. Destroy is not a function. This error appears when we use this incorrectly, use effect, I think. Okay. Yeah, if you return anything from use effect that is not a function, so we shouldn't return. Okay, we should return a function, not a value. Actually, we are not returning anything, so maybe because we had the async. Non-serializable. Um, okay, we shouldn't. Yeah, we saw this yesterday that we shouldn't pass serializable, non-serializable. Oh, okay. Again, this should be state books. I'm confusing myself between the toolkit and the Redux. Again, another error here, which says bookset map is not a function. Oh, okay. Now we need the async await then. Okay, so we have a problem from two sides that async await a news effect cannot be used. Okay, I'm not sure what's the exact problem of destroy function, but yeah, it's related to return or what's happening when use effect is called. But at the same time, we are having another error, which is books is called while it's empty, it's not received yet, because we are dispatching a payload that is not received without await. So we can write this differently. We can do then. That should work. Yeah, we don't need the payload. We dispatch, and now we can define the function. Fetch data, then we have a response here. Okay. I'm still not receiving the data. Um, Maybe I should have dispatch here, right? Okay, here we go. Oh, it was empty. Okay, so now I can add another book, and it's displayed here. It's first sent here, then displayed here, and then also I think we're making. Let's check actually if we call use effect on each dispatch. Another new book. Okay, it's not. So yeah, we don't need this, but we might receive a warning. Okay. Okay, so we can keep this, and it's inside. So that's why use effect is telling me to have it as a dependency. Yeah. Okay, so we are now receiving the data from mock API on every refresh. and then storing it inside the Redux state, and then displaying it. And whenever I add new data, then I'm sending to the API, then dispatching using addbook. Okay, and now I can have delete button as well for each book. This could be here, or should it be inside? And on click, we should say and delete. So handle get all the books, handle add a book, and then we can have now this is something turn now this is something this is a good practice that I personally prefer, which is to okay, we should pass the ID here, which is to wait for the received item from the API. So when we click delete here, we send a delete request in the API. Then we receive, this is how the delete HTTP request works. It's going to send you back the same item that you've deleted. This is how it works. So what you can do is send the delete request here and also send and dispatch an action with the ID here. But that doesn't confirm that the item is deleted. So instead, we send the delete to the mock API and then take the received confirmation, which is the exact item that has been deleted, take the API from that, and then do the dispatch action. So this is a best practice. Let's see it in practice. So here we need to try catch again, and we need to get we have add, we have select, when we can get the delete. So I can also, so we have seen two ways to do this. We can call fetch, because we are using this user effect here, so we did it this way. But we can do it this way, which is constant deleted item equal delete book, which is the ID coming from the button. And after that, I dispatch. Actually, here we can do await. And the function should be async. Okay, and then we dispatch delete book from the slice. Okay, here we need to, sorry, delete data. Here we need to delete data from the API. And to dispatch, we need to delete book from the state. So here what I was talking about, you can take the ID and pass it directly to delete book, which is coming from the button that is clicked. Or you can wait for the response. Then after that, you say delete item.id. Or actually, let's take a look at the received response. from the deletion of the API. Okay. So each book now has a delete. Okay, it's not working, fetch now. I think also, I think we need an await here as well. And async, no, async here, but that would trigger destroy, I think. No, let's not return anything besides function. Yeah. Um, which data or each dispatch? Okay, is it empty? Okay. Um, it should be a function, a reference to a function. Actually, that's weird. Why they're so are we adding new data? Yes, okay. And then we delete the new data. Okay, as you can see, ID1, new book one is deleted. Yeah, but not on the screen yet because we didn't dispatch anything. But if I refresh the page, it's gonna be gone because use effect is going to be called. But we need the interactivity, we need that in practice. So yeah, we can dispatch on. As you can see, it was an object of a name and an ID. So I take the ID. Now I'm confirming by doing this, I confirmed that it was deleted in the database in the mock API. Then after that, yeah, when I received this, then I made confirmation that it has been deleted because I have the ID. If I pass the ID directly from here, then I'm removing this from screen. And let's say an error happened here. If an error happened, then you would remove it from the screen, but it's gonna be stay on the database. So the user would see that, okay, I've deleted the item, but once the user refresh the page, they're gonna see that, okay, the item is still there because an error happened or something. So this way you can confirm that you're deleting the item on the database first, and after that, delete it on the screen. Yep. Okay. Yeah, delete is empty actually. Yeah, we didn't define the reducer. So to do so, we need to check the payload. So I am sending the ID to delete book, right? And delete book is here, and it's the action payload. Action.payload is containing my ID. And then I can say state.books equals state. I can use the filter. And what the filter do is returns the element of an array that meet the condition specified in a callback. So it's going to return elements, not one elements. So we can use that. We can take advantage of that by returning all the elements that is not with this ID. So return all the elements that doesn't have this ID. We know that there's only one ID containing this, so it's gonna return everything except the element with this ID. So go to each book and check the ID of each book. So it returns them that meet the conditions. So we want that the ID, the book that has an ID that doesn't equal to the ID that we have, return that. So return that to the array, and by that we delete that from the state. And once the state is updated, as you know, it's gonna be the screen is gonna be rendered. Okay. So yeah, 3 reducers with 3 APIs. And we can do the same for the authors. So I have authors services. I've done that. And here is the API. Here it is. Yeah, I have authors and I have books. And I can do the same. Actually, I can copy paste everything and just replace the names, because the difference would be instead of title, I have name. Yeah, that's the difference. And I can replace everything that is called book. Okay, anything called book, they make it called author, and this is case sensitive. Yeah, so anything called book is gonna be called author, and anything called book with capital letter, make it also author. So here I've created my authors, and you push the action load, the author's action flow, also payload here. As you can see, pure, there's no other functions, any logic. If there's a logic, then it's outside. And yeah, this is this way we can have 2 slices. Now you can see how this is effective. If you remember the state in the first time, it was, yeah, this is our state previously. Each component has its own state that is related to their children and so on. And when you visit each component, you need to try to remember, okay, what this state is related to and how I can manage the state. And we have different functions, one to set the state and the other is passed as a callback and so on. Now we have a global and it has slices. Each slice has access to the full cycle by accessing its own reducers or and names like by accessing the reducers, the actions, and selectors. Okay, so as you can see, they're kind of separate. So when you deal with the authors, you are dealing with something separate than the books, but you have the same functionality and everything. And you can define it, of course, differently, but for now, they're the same. I'll add something at the end later. But yeah, they're exactly the same. The only difference is gonna be with the name. It's gonna be in the it's on the service exactly. So here we have name and here we have title. But other than that, they are similar. Also, the components could be the same. Let's take a look at that. I'm doing that because I want to show you at the end something that how can we connect two resources of Mock API together. And this is something you do you do often in databases, even though it's a bit advanced topic, I would say. But yeah, it's good to see something related to the front end that is a bit advanced. I mean, yeah, we are in the front end, so we're not focusing on backend. So here I do the same. Instead of authors, instead of book, make it author, and instead of book with a small letter, then make it author. So this is my authors component, and now I should okay. Okay, this doesn't matter. This is variables, but here it is telling me that this is empty. Reading authors is undefined. Author slice is empty, and yeah, I'm passing that. And index.js, yeah, it's not here. So we need to import the slice. Okay. Author one. And author one is not appearing. Name. Yeah, I should change the book title into name in the component. Okay, we have book one and book two, book three, author two, they are separate. And as you can see, now we have five. And if we delete this, it's gonna be deleted. If we delete this, it's gonna be deleted, and so on. So this is mock API or Axios with Redux, the toolkit. So now it's better to have your services, your API calls separately. Usually, this is also what developers do. They define this. Also, usually this is in a configuration file even, but they have their APIs in a place. And with Redux, you have features in a different place. You can define, okay, the actions here are generated differently. And actually, when they do features, they also have the components with features. So you would see features, you would see authors folder here. Inside authors, you would have the slice and the component. But I personally, I found this confusing because components, they're UI elements. Features, we know that, okay, uh, this is feature, slice is Redux, services is API, and you can have styles and so on. So any questions so far? Okay, so what I wanted to do is to have like another view here on another element that shows all the authors and assign an author to a book. Sorry, shows all the book. And with each book, there's going to be a select button where you click on select. It's going to open all the list of authors and it's going to be assigned that into the book. This is something I was, consider applying today. And for that, I first need author ID. So when we talk about databases, if you have an ID of an element that is from another resource, this is this something that has like a keyword. It's called secondary key. Yes, exactly. I'm gonna build a cross relationship. But anyway, don't care about don't focus on the terms now. I'm just, we're just focusing on the front end, what we can do with this implementation. So this is the author ID. And at the beginning, for each new book of slice, okay, the new book is added here, which is coming from the payload. And the action is in books. And I'm passing the title. So what I can do is pass, okay, I can say constant payload equal object ID equal date, not now, and then title equal title. And I can pass that. Okay, this is not the payload. This is sent new book. So I'm sending this to the API. And in the API, okay, not this one. Yeah, date is just giving a timestamp, which is an ID, a random number. Okay. So yeah, the issue is with add book. Let's forget about this. So when we add book, we are pushing the payload, right? And we are doing this with passing the what we received from so I have that now. Yes, here I want the author, I want to add the author ID, which should be empty. So whenever I define a new book, the book is going to be without an author, right? So here's the new book. And when I refresh the page, I'm going to have new book with null value. And now I want to go to app.js. And after this, here I want to say assign author to book. And I want to get all the books here as well. So I want to import use selector, and I want to import select books. And so I want to display the books. Then I want to say constant books, use selector of select books. So I have all the books, and I can now display the books by saying books.map. And for each book, I want to display following. So of course the title. And I want this select option that I told you about. And the select is gonna have an option. The first option is where we select author. This is an empty option. And then I want the list of authors list here. So what I can do is import select authors and get the authors here as well. So this is not the best way to do so, but since I'm having books and authors on different components, I'm just having this written on after.js. And I want to do similarly authors.map. And for each bring the author. For each author, do a here we need the option as well. And the key is gonna be the author ID. Okay, this is the value. And the value is going to be actually the same, because key to define each option separately, and value is to send value based on the selection. So yeah, they are the same for us. And that's going to be the author name here. Okay, let's see if that worked. Okay, new book. It didn't work. Yeah, and the reason is I didn't have for select. I need an event. Actually, even before that, I should have something here. Um, that's so I should have a function here that handle the so I should list all the books here with um okay. So let's define a function. Okay, so this function is gonna call a reducer function, a new reducer function that we should define where it takes the author ID passed from the selection and assign it to the data here. So each author is gonna have an author ID assigned. But yeah, this is uh, a high level view towards what I was going to do. But here, I'm not seeing anything for some reason, even though, so I have the books called, yeah, we do this. Okay, let's have a break since the time, like it's 3:03 now. Let's have a break 5 minutes and I'm gonna take a look at this and yeah, I'm gonna explain if it worked at the end. I'm gonna explain it to you after that. Then we can start the lab. Okay, break for 5 minutes.